I'd like to now introduce our guest speaker for today. Mr. Michael Reefe is a 2022 College of Science graduate, just like you. Today he will receive a Bachelor of Science degree with honors in physics with an astrophysics concentration. Michael initially began his journey at Mason in 2018 as a film and video studies major, but he saw the light of the stars and he switched to studying astrophysics. So it's clear from his biography in the degree celebration program that he definitely made the most of his time at Mason, just as I hope you have too. As a means of introduction, I would like to just cite some of his many accomplishments since he is speaking for all of you today. Michael's pursuit of academic excellence is evident. With a cumulative GPA of 4.0, he earned a place on the Dean's List every single semester. He was selected for the Dean's Excellent Award in undergraduate research. He served as a learning assistant for Introductory Electromagnetism course and has mentored high school students through the Aspiring Scientist Summer Internship Program. Michael has also been the president of the student-led group Spectrum, which promotes diversity and inclusion for underrepresented groups in STEM. And he was awarded a fellowship through the prestigious National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship Program. Like all of you who are graduating today, Michael joins the ranks of our proud College of Mason alumni. I cannot wait to see what the next chapter of success looks like for Michael as he begins his PhD program at MIT, and also for you. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Dean Fox, for that warm introduction. I want to thank Provost Ginsberg for joining us today for this momentous occasion. Not only are we celebrating the graduating class of 2022, but we are also celebrating Mason's 50th anniversary. 50 years is relatively young for a university, but nevertheless, Mason is one of the fastest growing public universities in the US, and we will forever be a part of its formative history. Many people take earning a college degree for granted, that it's something you're expected to do to get a good job or to be successful in your career. But a 2019 statistic from the US Census Bureau that may surprise you is that only 36% of Americans over 25 actually have a college degree. Far from being something that everybody does, being a college graduate really is something special to be celebrated. You all chose to apply and attend Mason. Not only that, but you surmounted all of the challenges that a university education has thrown at you over the past few years. So let's take a moment to really appreciate and congratulate all the hard work and dedication it took for the graduating class of 2022 to be here today. And let's also recognize the support given to this year's graduating class, both academically and emotionally, by our hardworking professors, friends, and family. With all of that said, it may not have been a clear or easy path from start to finish. Can I get a show of hands to see how many of you, at some point during your education, decided to change majors or even started with an undeclared major? Life tends to pull you in unexpected directions, but I think a desire to stay in our comfort zone often precludes us from taking risks and trying new things. Starting as a film major was my way of continuing what I was already comfortable with from high school. I had a myriad of interests, from film to environmental science and even astronomy and physics, but I had the most experience taking theater classes and making home movies. I thought I would not be able to handle the rigorous curriculum of an astrophysics degree. Nobody in my family had a degree higher than a bachelor's, nor were they involved in academia, and my hometown was also very rural. So there were few opportunities for me to see what a career in academia actually looked like. It was difficult to imagine myself being a part of a world that was entirely alien to me, so I opted for the more familiar degree. Thankfully, in the spring of my first year, I took an astronomy lab class to fulfill a core science requirement. What changed my mind and ultimately made me decide to pursue a physics degree was the fact that we could tell what atoms exist inside a star trillions of miles away from us just by looking at it. When I contacted the academic advisor for the physics and astronomy department, Professor Joe Weingardner, about changing majors, I was blown away by the responsiveness and support that he gave me. I'm sure that many of you had doubts along the road that you would be sitting here today, even after making the decision to switch to a science major. The feelings of self-doubt that I carried from high school had not gone away. One of the first classes I took as a new physics major was an English course, specifically designed for professional writing in the sciences. But when I learned that the final project required us to find holes in the current literature of a subtopic in our field, I thought, how am I supposed to know what's lacking in astrophysics when I haven't even learned the basics on what is not lacking yet? In retrospect, I probably should have waited a year or two before taking that class. And even though I ended up with a B on that assignment, the experience still left me with greater doubts about my abilities to continue. And this was only compounded when I first joined a research group with Professor Peter Plavchan. Sitting in on the first group meeting and hearing all of the graduate students talk about the different projects they had been working on, not understanding a word that was uttered, made me feel helpless and that I didn't belong in the world of science. But when I came forward to Peter about these insecurities, he said that he didn't expect me to already know everything when first joining his group. I was there to learn. Listening to that advice and taking my education one step, one class at a time, really helped build my confidence. You don't become a professional scientist overnight. Everyone has to start somewhere. But then, right in the middle of our degree progression, the pandemic hit. I'm sure everyone here knows how difficult it was to transition to online classrooms and adapt to new forms of learning. Focusing and absorbing material through Zoom lectures was an entirely different skill set that nobody had 2 years ago. And it was equally difficult on the professor side, learning how to best teach and provide materials to students in a fully online environment, something I saw firsthand as a learning assistant. Interacting with classmates and working together in online communities was probably the main reason that I still passed all of my classes during this time. And I count myself as one of the lucky ones whose research was mostly able to continue virtually. I can only imagine how difficult the pandemic was for those that needed to be present in a lab. Despite that, when I tried extending my experiences during this time by applying to summer research internships and scholarships, I was rejected from every single one. Even after coming all this way, doubts about my abilities to succeed started to creep back into my mind. But then, in my final year, I joined a student-led group called Spectrum and learned that my feelings over the past few years of not being smart enough or good enough had a name: imposter syndrome. Just learning that many of my fellow students felt the same way was a huge relief, and attending some of their talks about ways to deal with imposter syndrome really helped me overcome my doubts. Around this time, I also joined a new research group with Professor Shabita Satyapal, and her pure enthusiasm for science and constant encouragements kept me motivated to finish my undergraduate degree strongly. I'm confident in saying that I made the right choice to change majors 3 years ago, despite the uncertainty and fear that I had when first making that decision. I hope those of you that raised your hands earlier are also happy, or at least content with the decisions that you made as well. And if not, it's never too late to start something new. Our education doesn't end with the receipt of a university degree. Throughout our whole lives, we are constantly learning new things. To those of you that never changed majors and have always known what you wanted to do, I don't know how you do it, but nevertheless, I am impressed with your tenacity. Whatever camp you're in though, everyone that is graduating today is here because they received support from someone, whether that be a friend, a family member, or a professor, or even all of the above. For me, those people are my parents, Joe, Peter, and Shobita. Also, don't stop yourself from taking a chance to try something that you don't think you're good enough or smart enough or strong enough to succeed in. Michael Scott from The Office once quoted hockey legend Wayne Gretzky saying, "You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take." Obviously, he was talking about shooting goals in hockey, but the same logic can be applied to anything and everything that you do. Wherever you all end up, whether that's graduate school, an industry job, or the military, I hope you will take the value of learning and the value of science with you. Thank you, and congratulations to the College of Science class of 2022.